I'm Manuel Jiménez García, and I'm the co-founder of Nagami and CEO. And Nagami is a design and 3D printing company. We do large-scale production, from furniture to wall panels, wall interiors, even facades. So we come from design and architecture, and we're trying to take that technology towards construction.
How was Nagami founded, and what does the name mean?
Nagami comes purely from research. So we were focusing our work on robotic processes, right? Coming from digital design to digital fabrication. One of the main threads of that research was how to scale up 3D print. And it would help us creating new forms and shapes that we couldn't imagine with traditional methods, and actually make them more accessible by automating the production through robotic fabrication. And we started kind of paving the way for this adventure to continue, and they developed a pellet extruder to work with the robots, while I was focusing much more on designing and programming. It started from a very kind of difficult to make piece, and really exhibiting the properties of large scale robotic 3D printing. And as I said, we started in a garage, and Megami is the name of a Japanese fruit that has this kind of very bright orange color, so it almost looks like plastic. And we thought somehow that the fruit name for a tech design company started in a garage would actually flourish.
You mentioned that you started off as a designer, architect, and you found a need to start a technology company together with your partners. What was the driver for that need? Why did the stuff that you were designing, the projects that you were working on, what was the bottleneck in actually making those designs? And how did you develop a technology to get around that?
Well, back in 2010, we were doing all these like crazy designs coming from coding, designs that could actually remain alive, that could constantly change, and technology was just not ready to materialize it. So, if there is no technology to make them, just make it your own.
What are the major challenges that you see in 3D printing in general? From your perspective and your experience, you had worked, as you mentioned, the first sort of prototype or the first design for a furniture piece was the Voxel Chair, which kind of set the tone of the trajectory of Nagami. And then since then, you've scaled up quite a bit and worked at various scales in design and architecture. From these projects, what do you recall are the major challenges and bottlenecks, and how would you get over them in the future? What would be your plan to kind of like slowly develop the technology to get over these challenges?
I don't think the main challenge is actually the technology itself, but it's more about the operations, right? And more about economies of scale. We started doing pieces that would be almost unaffordable, right? Like pieces for having in between some museums, but with the objective of kind of growing up this capacity to actually produce cheaper, to reduce manufacturing costs, at the same time as making our technology more robust and efficient. So we would cut down in printing time, and therefore, again, reducing that cost. In these 6 years, we've moved from that one single robot in a garage to 23 robots. And now we can take on bigger projects where manufacturing cost allows us to have a very competitive price for the market.
Going back to scale, the issue of scale. So we mentioned a sort of a spectrum of scale. I mean, Nagami kind of started off as a company that is making 3D printed furniture. And we're sitting now on the most 3D printed chair, which was done in collaboration. From that, recently you had scaled not only in operations, but also in the size of the project. So we're sitting in a space right now that is done in collaboration with Hassel. And you can still see the scaffolding. I mean, it almost it is like we're sitting in architecture now. So it's not product design anymore. We're moving through scales. Has that created a bit of discomfort within the sort of the Nagami team? Did that sort of shift your perspective on how we do things? And was there a learning experience from that scale shift?
We live in discomfort and we love it. That's what drives us. I mean, we don't love it doing the day by day because, of course, it's a constant headache. But that headache is what makes the products magical. But I think that spirit of architecture has remained as a driver in the company from the very first design.
Absolutely, and I think it's very interesting, this transition as designers, because when we're designing a chair, the Mouse chair, for example, was our first attempt as an architectural practice as you need to design a chair. But what I found was very interesting is the play on ergonomics, functionality, aesthetics, and what the printer could actually do, materiality, variance in color. And that was a true collaboration between Nagami and me, because we've learned a lot from what you do, and the product speaks for itself. Can you tell us a bit more about what projects are you most excited about?
We have a project where we have to print 80,000 chairs. So it's a project that can only be viable through 3D printing, and also with those large numbers, you need to again increase your capacity. You need to professionalize the way you make things. Something that we like playing with a lot in Nagami is related to those challenges that we face in the world of architecture, where we need to rethink almost every single element. Like I was just showing you this toilet room that has a door that needs a 3D printed door handle that is integrated within the print of that panel itself, right? Like rethinking doors, rethinking toilets. Like we did. One of my favorite projects was the throne. That I do imagine that this is toilets in a festival to be like that. Like if you think about a portable toilet, it's probably one of the ugliest objects we keep on seeing everywhere, right? And of course, it's cheap to produce, and so on. You can mass produce it quickly. But I think those objects that we are used to see every day, that we consider banal or mundane, we can change the perception through design and 3D printing technology. So that's one of the things that we want to definitely keep on doing.
Absolutely. And you've managed to pull some amazing collaborations through the use of plastic. I recall Parley, for example. You've done a great project with them. Can you in a very sort of concise way, tell us a bit more about that?
Well, we've done a few projects with Parley, and so we did the British Fashion Awards. We also did this Dior facade and interior. Also, the sculpture with Nicolo Casas that we did for the Biennale. So that kind of plays in a very common field. They are obviously an amazing company, having one of the largest networks for taking plastic out of the ecosystem, and they contribute massively to elevate this like consciousness of how waste can become an object that is incredibly valuable.
Can you summarize the contribution that additive manufacturing could provide to enhance the quality of life?
Well, first of all, additive manufacturing and through design, can completely change the atmospheres that we live in, right? Like, these kind of effects that even myself, that I see it every day, I just keep at looking at it, right? Because it has an effect that you're not used to. It's not a white wall, right? And we're used to living white walls, right? So I think in increasing the level of the experience that we have in the spaces we inhabit, is something that we have envisioned for a long time as architects, but that went together with these new technologies to be materialized, right? The other one is definitely this a consciousness about the environment, right? Like just being in a space surrounded by incredible forms, right? That are highly designed, that that are coming from waste. I think that somehow makes an impact in you. That I hope it elevates your purpose of keep thinking about sustainability in every step you take in your life. Like the Apple project that you will see later, I think was like 4 tons of plastic recycle, and that's part of the message that we try to make very clear when you enter the space, right? And just entering knowing that comes from waste, and that is somehow channeling your imagination to create an effect that you have not experienced before, right? And that's something that is going to start hopefully changing a bit of the way we think about architecture in the coming years.